And all of a sudden I go from not having visibility into encrypted traffic or having to purchase some ginormous SSL decryption box to being able to do it at line rate across your network and still being able to have that visibility into the traffic without compromising privacy concerns. I want to introduce myself, Jeremy Ryder, Enterprise Architect with Network Solutions. And I have a bit of a caveat to give. First of all, my background is really not in security. Don't tell these folks. I grew up as a route switch engineer. Now, as I've kind of processed through the past couple of years, my world has been invaded by security, right? Because we found out that just having perimeter security at the edge of our networks is just not simply enough anymore. And so security has invaded all of our lives as IT directors, administrators, technicians, including my own. And so now security has become a little bit more in my wheelhouse. What I want to talk to you this morning about is three things: visibility, detection, and incident response. So I don't have a lot of time, and I want to communicate effectively, and I wanted to try a little activity, but due to liability reasons, I don't think we're going to get through it. So instead, we're going to imagine this activity. So if you would, bear with me, close your eyes for a moment, and imagine that I came to this seminar today with a $100 bill in my pocket. Again, it's imagination. I wish it were true. $100 bill in my pocket, and I hid it somewhere in this room. Now, when I got here, I said, congratulations, you're here today. I've hidden a $100 bill somewhere in this room, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to find it. Once I say 3, 2, 1, go, you can all get up from your chairs, look around the room. If you find the $100 bill, congratulations, it's yours to keep. You're $100 richer. One small note, I am going to ask that the curtains be closed. Close the curtains, please. That the lights be dimmed all the way to off, so we have total blackness. Lights, please. Now, 3, 2, 1, go. And at that point, all of us get up, right? Some enterprising individuals probably pull out their smartphones and use one of those smart features, the flashlight, if you've used it before, and start looking around the room trying to locate this $100 bill. And probably we'll say some guy named Jeff. Congratulations to Jeff. Round of applause for Jeff this morning. He found the $100 bill. Now, I'm sorry I didn't bring that. Sorry to any Jeffs that are out there and you're disappointed that you didn't get the $100. Let's go through that exercise again, but this time, instead of a $100 bill, piece of paper, same size, same shape, except it has written malware across the front. I've hidden it somewhere in this room. You have 30 seconds once I say 3, 2, 1, go, to get up, to find this piece of paper. If not, your entire network has been compromised and is now infected with malware. Not as exciting of a scenario, but more of a real scenario that you guys are dealing with on a daily basis. So we say 3, 2, 1, go. Everybody gets up. We didn't find it. Now your weekend's ruined because you have to spend the time remediating all those issues that came up. The good news is that there's a solution for this: turning the lights on and having some visibility. So once again, can you bear with me? Say visibility. Visibility. All right, we'll try it one more time. We have to get in the habit, I understand. Say visibility. Visibility. Good. So Cisco came up with the idea that, you know what, everybody needs visibility, right? And it started kind of in my house, the route switch camp. We needed visibility into network performance. So they came up with a protocol called NetFlow. Now, NetFlow, as many of you probably already know, gives you a description of the traffic, the metadata of the traffic that is traversing your network. Things like destination and source IP addresses, the ports, the protocols, all this information, times, latencies back and forth, that you can then correlate using a NetFlow collector to figure out what's going on in your network. We have visibility. Now, I told you I want to present on three things. 1, visibility. Say visibility. Visibility. 2, detection. Say detection. Right, so our first effort was to detect network performance. And I can do that with the NetFlow protocol. I get all these parts and pieces of what's traversing my network. And all of a sudden, I can see what are my top hosts, who are my top talkers, what are my top applications, who's using my bandwidth, what is the latency back and forth. And I can detect the performance that my network is providing to me, and hence go out and fix what's broken. The second part of that So we detected for the network team what their performance looks like. The second part of that is detecting for our security team, right? We realize we have this wealth of information, this data sitting here. Why don't we process it and start inspecting for anomalies, right? Pretty much I feel like, and I'm going to simplify, sorry guys, security can be defined as, hey, this is odd over here, right? And all of a sudden we're aware of a threat. And so we're going to correlate all this data and say, hey, this is not normal performance, this is odd. And so we start to look for advanced persistent threats, botnets, data infiltration, exfiltration. All this kind of data can be gleaned from the net flow that we're downloading. We have visibility, we have detection. Those first two things are encapsulated in the Stealth Watch service, available as an appliance or now as a cloud service, right? So we point all of our NetFlow data, which you probably already have. NetFlow can be generated by most of your network devices. If not, you can put point collectors in. We can gather this data, send it to some kind of NetFlow collector. We've got visibility, say visibility. We've got detection, say detection. The third part that we want, because detection's good, but now I got to do something with it, right, is incident response. So this is where StealthWatch can come in and say, hey, you know what? I've got two types of communications that generally go on a network. North-south, where I'm heading out to the internet to communicate to some kind of web service, or east-west, intercommunication between my devices. So for north-south traffic, I can go ahead and look at installing null zero routes, right? Drop this traffic essentially on my core routers, on my firewalls, installing deny statements. And so I can very effectively block north-south web-based callbacks from whatever malware we have. But I still have something to deal with, and that is my east-west traffic, and that is between clients. When WannaCry came out, right, one of the first things it did was send multicast across the network. So anything that existed largely in the same VLAN, say on the same switch or on the same set of switches that doesn't traverse your firewall, doesn't go north-south, was automatically compromised, whether it could get out to the internet or not. So we can do a lot of effective security with some perimeter using StealthWatch to dynamically shut off northwest control, but we can also feed back into Identity Services Engine, our network access control product, to say this port on this switch, I know it wants to talk and is normally allowed to talk to the rest of these ports on my switch, but in this case I've identified that it's doing something, this is odd, on my network that I need to contain. And so it can dynamically go back in and say, all right, we need to change the permissions on that port and put you in a quarantine VLAN. Now you're not able to access the rest of my network and prevent that east-west spread. So we've got three things that we're after. Visibility, say visibility. Two, detection, say detection. My brain stopped for a second. Three, incident response. So StealthWatch offers all those things, and the reason it's in my camp is that is using your network as a sensor. And when we pair it with ICE, your network as an enforcer to prevent these threats from spreading. Now that is all well and good, but we have some developments, right? This is kind of outdated information. Sorry if you have heard this before. But the reality is, going back to my initial analogy where we don't quite have enough visibility, if I pulled everybody over to this side of the room and I said there's a $100 bill somewhere in here, but I drew this curtain and I cut off 50% of the room, that would represent the fact that we have encrypted traffic now. So I had all this visibility, I knew what was going on, but I don't know what's in that traffic. And as time has gone on, we've gone to greater and greater percentages of the actual traffic that's on your network, upwards of 50, 60% at this point. And so that's a real limitation as I look at trying to investigate my traffic. Well, Cisco has seen this once again, and they have answered the call with something called Encrypted Traffic Analytics. Now, Jason touched on just before he left one thing you can do to go after mitigating threats, and that is SSL decryption, decrypting your encrypted traffic. But all of a sudden you have privacy concerns. It's really resource intensive. Is there a way that we can answer that using the network, using the switches? And the answer is yes. So Cisco 18 months ago now, I want to say, released a line of switches called the Catalyst 9300 switches. And they have special chipsets inside of them that can actually generate a ton extra of metadata on encrypted traffic. So all of a sudden, where we didn't have visibility before, now we do have visibility. And I can report up to my NetFlow collector, report up to my StealthWatch appliance, and say, OK, I see this encrypted traffic. And here is my report on it. Now this is the tricky part, right? Cisco wrote research papers. It's awash in mathematical computations and all this kind of stuff. The way they do it is they look at the initial data packet, and they say, OK, the initial call out looks something like this. And then I look at the rest of the data packets that follow. And I say, they use a term for it, sequence of packet lengths and time, which I just refer to as name that tune. Essentially, if I see the rhythm that this packet is playing and the notes that it's playing, I can pretty quickly identify what that packet is. And I can identify with 99+% accuracy that this is malware. And all of a sudden, I go from not having visibility into encrypted traffic or having to purchase some ginormous SSL decryption box to being able to do it at line rate across your network and still being able to have that visibility into the traffic without compromising privacy concerns. So when you think about using or replacing, I should say, your network infrastructure, keep in mind the Catalyst 9300 switches because they really give us a whole new layer of visibility into that encrypted traffic that we previously didn't have. 3 things we're after: visibility, say visibility. 2, detection, say detection. Incident response, And why not? We'll do 4, 9300s. 9300s. All right, short and sweet, but that'll do it. Thank you very much for your attention.